Maine College of Engineering. They flew here all the way from India. Team drone, Sharif Arwagwan. Right. And now the line judge on the north end of the field has indicated that the aircraft has flown the proper distance, and now we're going to come in for final and landing right in front of us in the Bermuda grass. A successful flight. That shows it paid to fly that distance. Congratulations, Team Maine College of Engineering. Choosing a hand launch. It's going to be a 1-2 launch. All right, heads up. Okay, we may have gotten it about 40 feet, but that was not going to be deemed a successful flight. There will be just one person inside the 10-foot circle working with the pilot. Flight by University of Cincinnati, the Aero Cats. Another successful catapult launch. All right, notice there's no motor to propel it, so their goal is to go 150 feet, turn around, take the downwind leg, go 300 feet, and then make the 150 feet back. Propulsion might have worked. Nice flying aircraft. All right, that was a handful on the launch, and
All right, guys, you're up. Straight down.
Air density 2816. Team Yokovan, successful launch and 150-foot flight downwind leg. They're now, or upwind now, then they went downwind, and they're past the 150-foot mark. So now the next stage of this flight would be their landing in the middle of the Bermuda grass runway, and they can then call that success and a good reason to it. Heads up, everyone, heads up. All right. You gentlemen, like. This is St. Louis University.
All right, let me know when.
Just like with the advanced and the regular class aircraft, these airplanes and these teams in the micro class are adding more weight. It becomes much more difficult to fly an airplane with more weight. And here's some good piloting for us from St. Louis University.
This is probably the best flight pass.
St. Louis University is still in the sky. They've completed a few of their tasks. They went their 150-foot one distance. It looks like they probably went the other. Now they're just needing to work their way back. Don't count St. Louis University out. They could put it in the middle of the runway. They might have a flight here.
Kevin, wait.
They passed their 150-foot threshold. Keep an eye on it. Ooh. Instituto Federal de Sao Paulo from Brazil launches. Gets past the first judge, gets a green flag, going to turn 180 degrees, go downwind. At this point, the aircraft must travel 300 feet from the first judge to the next judge. Adding more weight makes it more difficult, especially going with the wind. Turns base and then final. The judge is given the go-ahead. Now look at that. They decided to do a fly-around. That's absolutely legal. As long as they don't touch the ground, they can come back and find themselves a proper landing and then call it a good flight. It's pretty good piloting. It's good decision making. This airplane's more difficult to fly. They get more and more tough as we're adding weight. Instituto Federal de Sao Paulo from Brazil was another successful flight. They'll move into round 3. They're working with the air boss. Everything's still just fine. They think that they're going to find a better way. Concordia University just took off with a great amount of power. That was a lot of authority. They've added a lot of weight. I had the opportunity to watch their presentation to the Lockheed engineers where they explained a lot of decisions they made on this wing and how the aircraft can be made. The amazing thing about it is they go to add weight, they're adding weight to the bottom of the aircraft, which makes it essentially turn into a high-wing airplane, making it easier and easier to fly the more weight they add. It's landing inside the 200-foot mark. That was a nice flight, a lot of authority, great launch. Oh. Eduardo, will you please step up to the pilot's area? All right, Valores Institute of Technology, you can see what happens when we start adding weight. We end up having about 8-second flights. All right, let's keep an eye on this one. You saw a little bit of hairy takeoff, but some good piloting skills and good focus. It's actually a high wing configuration. Those trees are about 1,000 feet out. All right, eyes on the airplane. It's coming in on final. Everybody eyes to the sky, just a little bit. There's a lot to be said about persevering and being worried and saying, oh no, I don't know, and then just flying it out. And that's exactly what we had from LSU. We're now in the third classic competition. I will point out that at the end of the second round of competition in the micro class, Georgia Tech actually finds themselves on top. So now the pressure's on for them to continue flying, adding weight, and see if they can hold that position. Because University of Cincinnati, through Bagan Mahavir Jain College of Engineering, is right on their heels. The Worcester Polytechnic is right there. Maybe Georgia Tech's practice paid off. That's another successful flight by Georgia Tech, so we'll see how that goes. Any other micro class? Last call for micro class. The requirements, they needed to take off within the first 200 feet. The line judge has indicated that's what's going on, that it happened. They're on climb out. Remember, adding more weight makes it a lot more difficult. Manitoba on final approach. They made it all the way around. They need to put it down in the middle of the runway. There's a 400-foot stretch. They got down inside at the line judges, and the air boss have ruled that a successful flight. Congratulations, University of Manitoba. All right, looks like they are able to stage. So they're on their rollout. They'll want to lift it for the 200 feet. They got that accomplished. The line judge has them. As they come around, they're going to want to put down the aircraft just beyond the threshold for where they began their takeoff rollout. There, they crossed that threshold. Now they have 400 feet to put it down. Nicely done. All right, Widener University starting their takeoff roll. All right, Widener University is taking a low flight line. You might have noticed the line judge had to raise a red flag with them rolling just beyond the 200-foot marker. Let's keep them bringing around that real nice flight line. Bring it back in one piece and see what they can do for the next round. Nice landing. Killed the engine right down the center of the runway. See how the airbus rules it. Yeah. Unfortunately, the airplane took off beyond the 200-foot threshold, brings Widener University with a successful landing back for round 4. Next up is Union College, the Flying Dutchman.
Flag card.
So you can begin to see what happens when we're adding the weight to these aircraft. It becomes more and more difficult for them to rotate for that takeoff. Line judge gives them a false at the 200-foot line. It's required that the takeoff occur before that 200-foot line.
Why would they?
They must take off by the time the center of the runway has been hit.
I guess it would be bad to set it down in the field.
So Union College is going to bring their plane back home. They're working to get it back to the runway so that they can still at least... Don't turn your back on the airplane, please. Coming around on final. Okay, so they're down, they're ready to go. They'll be ready to fly for the next round. Nice little Trickenheimer there. Class. We have the takeoff roll. Watch carefully. Little goosey. Rotation happened. The air liftoff occurred. See the power from that engine. They're going to keep it low though and keep working it around. Keep an eye on this thing. They did get a successful launch. Sounds like the prop is hyperspeeding. Watch the wings. We got a little bit of movement in those wings. They're just going to keep persevering. The tail is wagging an awful lot. Oh! All right, airplanes crash for one of two reasons. Structural failure or pilot error. I'm not going to blame the pilot on that one. He's flying hard. There was a structural failure that happened out there. Let's still give a big round of applause to the United States Military Academy, our proud boys and girls from West Point. University of Tennessee in Martin had a really beautiful takeoff roll. They lifted up well before the 200-foot marker. That airplane's almost flying like it doesn't have any payload added into it. It's a very nice platform, nice flying. They're going to make their way easily around on the base leg and then move into their final leg. Level their wings and then they'll bring it in. Down the runway, they have a 400-foot point they need to land within. Just beyond they must touch down just beyond where they start their takeoff roll. That's successful. Down the runway. Still rolling out, looking pretty. The Vermilion project took the 190 feet to gather speed. They kept going faster and faster, had a really nice rotation, and they got up before the 200-foot line. You can see that plane flying a lot different than it did before. This is some good piloting. On the downwind leg, they're holding tight. Florida Institute of Technology is now moving into their base leg, making an approach to the runway by running perpendicular to it until they've reached the threshold where they can then turn another 90 degrees on their final approach. They've made that. So now it's just take the glide slope, burst of the engine, get them over beyond the threshold where they began their rollout. They need to settle down there inside the 400 foot on the runway and settle in. We've got a green flag from the flagging judges. That means that we have a good flight. University of Hawaii, Manoa, on their takeoff roll. University of Hawaii made a successful rollout, moving into base and then final. The line judges rule all three landings good. All right, University of Puerto Rico, their rollout. Again, they have to take off within the 200-foot mark. Looks like there's a little bit of weight on that airplane. Spin out, turn 9. Spin out, the University of Kansas on their rollout. This plane's flying very strong. Remember, they're adding a lot of weight. I got to visiting with the pilot earlier. He does more than just pilot these. He's a good 3D pilot.
Everybody freak out. So, who started this hack? This sounds like
University of Kansas is a beautiful flight. The line judges ruled that the landing was good and safe. Congratulations. The direction to go into the wind. This wind's shifting around a bit. They still have the 200-foot rollout, and it's begun. They need to lift off before center of the runway, rotate and lift, and they're just going to take the 800-foot runway to gather some altitude and airspeed. Sure, they've added some weight to this aircraft, but it sure is flying nice. It may not even look like there's additional weight that's been added. We have a crosswind that's coming across the runway. The airplane comes around and enters its base leg. It's actually going right into the wind. It'll come around. There'll be a crosswind as it enters into its final leg. They're going to want to put this airplane down just beyond their takeoff. You saw the pilot doing some really smart flying, wagging his tail to drop altitude without gathering airspeed, and that puts them right down the middle of the runway. And the line judge gives them a fancy flag high, and they say thank you very much for that time flight. Team 38, Warsaw University of Technology, starting their rollout. Let's keep an eye on this one. Rotation occurred. They have liftoff. The line judge gave it to them. They're going to continue their climb out. It's okay to stay low enough to cut the grass, as long as you don't touch. I talked about perseverance. This is when the pilot perseveres. Just work it around the corners. Don't do anything fancy. And they might have a successful flight. Those trees are about 1,000 feet out, so we're not worried about hitting them. The airplane's on base and coming around on final approach. They must go down the center of the runway. They must land beyond the threshold of the line that they began their rollout. They passed that line. SolidWorks is one of our main sponsors. Florida Institute of Technology. On their rollout, they've rotated. Get it around, get it around, get it around. Here's some perseverance. They're actually into the wind, so it's to their favor at this point. Everybody keep an eye on the aircraft. Everybody back up from the runway. You'll see what he's doing. He's coming in at full throttle. As soon as he breaks the threshold, then he's going to throttle back and let this thing settle in, and we might have a successful flight. We're going to watch the judges. North Carolina A&T State University. Looks like we've got a successful rollout. Oh, look, he just rolled the plane, guys. Technological University, the Blue Devils, and they're beginning their rollout. They probably added some weight, so let's keep an eye on this aircraft. Rotate and then lift. Get them off the runway. The line judge said that was good and legal, so now they're just looking to gather a little altitude. They took off with a bit of a crosswind, so they're really going to be fighting the winds out there. Times like this that we all know and realize why the folks we have piloting these aircraft are some of the best that we could find here at GMA. Actually, Eduardo, I think, comes through us from Cobb County, RC Airfield. He'll correct me when he comes back over here. Real great pilot, though. Look at this. Bringing heavy aircraft around. He needs to get it down. The line judges are going to give it. You'll notice a big different style of flying that's happening now. We're in the middle of the runway. You can see the flagger out there. He'll raise a red or a green flag. Rotation and liftoff. Now we're just going to have altitude gathering probably going on. Looks like it was a good plan to go from right to left. Remember, this airplane, though it sits in third place, has more weight than it did the prior two flights. So it's going to be much more difficult to handle. It's much more cumbersome. It responds more rapidly to inputs from the pilot. But this airplane looked like it was made to have that weight. Probably put on a song. It's going to take them a while to get back down. Time for the air show from École des Technologies Supérieures. So by the time they get down to the Atlanta airport, they'll be pretty high, so they'll just probably turn off the engine and have a glide slope that brings them back here. Quite magnificent. Many times you trade airspeed for altitude. This airplane came down, didn't gather too much airspeed. They're trying to bleed off the airspeed as much as possible. Keep an eye on this aircraft. We have a problem here. Oh, that is really a shame to see that happen. And go for the takeoff. This is the University of Puerto Rico really showing something. They're looking for the 200-foot takeoff right about there. They got rotation. They got takeoff. We got a crowd favorite. They keep their nose down, can gather some airspeed. They might. Okay, everybody, eyes on the aircraft. If they can keep the nose down, they might be able to gather some airspeed. They're going to not want to fly it towards the pit. Unfortunately, Puerto Rico went down with a good fight. And there we go. Well timed. Currently in 5th place. We'll see how they move up. The line judge gives them a red flag. The rest of us agree that airplane didn't take off. At the end of the runway with a nice skid. Kansas State University made it past the threshold. Craig's bringing it around. Keep an eye on this airplane. Swung a little bit wide, but actually ends up being a pretty nice approach to the runway. Kansas State University.
Yeah. Judge didn't have it. You didn't know what you're talking about.
McGill University having a real good flight so far.
So much to do it. Get my side is good outside.
Very nice flight, really nice landing. Is on their takeoff roll. The rotation and liftoff, just about like a B-52 bomber, just lifted straight up. Real nice. West 638. Universidad Federal de Manas. All right. On final. They just gave us a lesson on flying. Nice, nice flight.
Ô, Zanazzi! Oi, o cara fala demais, né?
There you go. That wasn't supposed to happen last night. I'm going to just go quiet and let them focus. BMS College of Engineering. Charlie's in 7th place out of the 40. You see the rotation and liftoff at exactly the right moment. The line judge gave them a good takeoff. Didn't give it to them, they earned it. On this downwind leg, the aircraft seems to be working pretty hard. The engine's at full throttle. Makes its way around into the base and then final. It's going to head into the wind. Try to provide a little bit more stability. All right, that was a beautiful landing inside the 400-foot zone. The flagmen have given them a go. The air boss has given them a thumbs up. They're going to make their 3rd round run. Out of the 14 teams, the advanced class, St. Louis University currently sits in 4th position after the end of the 2nd round. We're now in the 3rd round. It looks like they might have another successful flight. It's going to make base, and then the base leg, and then final approach. All right, St. Louis University made it all the way around. They're now rotating. They just need to make a nice landing on the runway. All right, let's keep an eye on this airplane. Missouri University of Science and Technology. You can see what happens when you start adding weight to a big airplane like this. That engine's working really hard. That high-pitched sound, almost the hyperspeed of the tips of the propeller. All right, everybody heads up. The airplane's coming around on base, finally headed towards the crowds a little bit. It'll come sweeping around. Now they need to put it down anywhere on the runway in one piece. On the asphalt runway, that would be. They must show control landing on the runway, and they're sitting right in the middle of the runway. All right, Warsaw University of Technology on their rollout run. Rotation occurs over about a 30-foot stretch. They got lift. Remember this plane flying earlier in the morning. All right, Warsaw University of Technology scored no points on that flight round. Again tomorrow. And this, Byron Fuels, thank you for your fuel for the regular class. Instituto de Tecnologia Aeronáutica from Brazil has successfully launched. They may move themselves by accumulating more points. They may move from 3rd place on up in this advanced class. Last year they were really strong competitors. As long as nothing falls off their aircraft, they make their base and final leg and a proper landing down the middle of the asphalt runway. We might have a lot of movement in places. Who stands where for the advanced class starting tomorrow morning. Really looking forward to seeing what's posted about 7:45 on the board. Watch these brakes. Nice, flying Institute Technologies de Aeronautica. You can see they're excited, and they certainly should be. I believe that's going to end day one of Aero Design East.